States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Lauer, roll call.
Ms. Shanafeld?
Here.
Mr. Kozer?
Here.
Mr. Curry?
I'm here.
Dr. Prosco?
Here.
Mr. Seigel?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
I am here.
Mr. Rust?
Here. Seeing no special reports, moving on to approval of the minutes Peters Township Council meeting held on April 22nd, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
I pass. I was not. I pass. Or
Okay. So we have 6 yes and 1 abstain. Mr. Lauer?
601.
Next item, accept the transcripts for a public hearing held on April 8th and April 22nd, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer. Section of the meeting for audience comments limited to 5 minutes for non-agenda items unless extended by council. Yes, sir.
Evening, everyone. I'm Chris Todd, 801 Ashwood Drive. There's the pen. I live in the neighborhood where the tornado touched down this weekend. And first, I want to commend all of our community first responders because they were there quickly. They secured the area, made sure everyone was safe, stuck around for a while, kept some of the rubberneckers away and everything. So it was really much appreciated. And however that can be conveyed to all of our first responders, that was much appreciated. What occurs to me most about it was the lack of warning. And maybe this is a common thing when it comes to this type of situation, but my first inclination was when I heard something and it wasn't rain, and I looked out the back window and I yelled down to my wife, "Hey, there's a tornado on the other side of our neighborhood." Fortunately, nobody was seriously hurt. To my recollection, this is, I think, the 3rd tornado that's touched.
Second one in 3 years.
I would have said 3, because I thought, I know a friend that had one, but okay, 2, 3, whatever. So the lack of warning, TV was on, nothing came from there. That incredibly annoying phone alert that you get for any public message, that came like, I don't know, it was maybe 30 minutes after it had occurred.
I think it was an hour.
Okay, I lost track of time because I went down, I was cleaning up trees and stuff, but I lived in the Midwest for short periods, and they have those, public warning sirens that they test once a month, and, those are real tornadoes. Not that this wasn't a real tornado, but you get what I mean out in Tornado Alley, and I'm just wondering if council has ever thought about any type of public warning system for Peters.
We still have one?
We do not have sirens any longer. All of our emergency responders are dispatched by pagers, by the internet. Those warnings, though, don't come locally. Those warnings all come out of the National Weather Service. And so if there's a failure, that failure is the National Weather Service.
Yeah, I certainly don't know what that chain of custody looks like coming from, National Weather Service to emergency response. But I just wanted to bring it up because having seen this, the lack of warning was definiting a
security system that went off with a tornado warning. I didn't get anything on my phone.
Interesting. Like your Ring or whatever thing that was?
Yeah, I have a Vivint security system, and it started.
And it was timed
went
like
off the other night
in advance of.
Yeah, I turned on the radio right then.
Okay.
And it was probably right after my wife looked out the window and saw the.
Okay. I just wanted to bring it up for your attention.
Well, the one thing we can do is the National Weather Service is in town looking at this event, and maybe we can have a conversation with the National Weather Service to find out why there was a failure to have a.
So the siren at the fire hall isn't operational anymore?
No.
Really?
None of the sirens are operational anymore.
Huh.
I tried for a long time to keep them active just for that reason.
Can we make them?
You would have to replace them to do that.
They
don't exist anymore.
They're not there at all. And they weren't audible throughout the township either.
Right.
I mean, I think in this day and age with, I think I saw that tornado maybe 5-10 minutes after it happened because it was a neighbor friend that sent a text to actually my kids, and then my kids showed it to my wife and I. So, and it is kind of bizarre that why the alert was like 45 minutes later. That'd be something that
Right, and don't they warn you that the conditions are right for a tornado, not that they've seen a tornado?
Well, the weather on TV was saying that there was detecting rotations, and because I was sitting there watching.
They kept saying it was in Elizabeth Township, though.
Yeah. So as soon
Yeah, I
as
think
as soon
you're
as it
correct.
happened, my wife went back in, and the Weather Channel was saying, "Oh, it's northern Allegheny or something like that." It didn't say anything about us. I would assume the chain would be as soon as they see that hook signature in the radar, National Weather Service is going to activate whatever emergency situation, and it should go quickly from there. But there may have been a disconnect.
The cone was not big enough, that's for sure.
Perhaps.
Let us check with the National Weather Service.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it for your attention. That's all.
And we thank you for the compliments.
Yeah, appreciate the comments about the fire crews. I know Chief McLaughlin said council, all an update right away on what happened
Right.
and the damage, and it seemed like they were right on top of it.
Nobody hurt. All's good. So that's
Thank you for the comment.
Thanks, everyone.
Seeing no unfinished, I'm sorry, any other audience comments? Yes, please come on.
Hi, Allison Dadienko from 102 Highland, back about the lake issue. Just with really an update, because I know you all probably know where we are with North Strabane, but I did bring with us, we printed out all the conditions because obviously they voted it forward with 11 conditions. I just want, and I have copies of this to pass out, but I just wanted to read some of the additional items that we're concerned about, and I know we talked about doing a letter at a different point once the engineering report is done, but some of the things that we're still concerned about, which we wanted to just update you on that were not addressed in the conditions, include testing of the lake water, the water quality leaving the site and flowing into the reservoir, obtaining groundwater well production data for all 4 seasons for the groundwater wells, not just one, pre-construction and post-construction, providing a delineation of all water sources, streams, wetlands, and springs that feed Peters from the North Strabane side, feed Peters Lake, providing a maintenance plan for the proposed retaining ponds, including specifying pond ownership and who's responsible for maintenance, including types and frequency of maintenance, and including an escrow account in case of damage to the lake and or the natural springs. So those were some of the things that we sent to, North Strabane residents sent to their council, their board of supervisors prior to the meeting, and none of those were really addressed in any of their conditions.
I think most of that, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, that'll all be covered by the NPDES permit, though, for the most part.
Escrow account certainly would.
That wouldn't be, but all the water quality and taking into consideration whatever's feeding the lake. So the Washington County Conservation District would be the ones that would be overseeing that.
So you're saying that we can feel confident that all of this would be addressed, or?
Yeah, you could, if you go on their county's website, County Conservation District website, you can get a copy of what's required.
Yeah. And this plan isn't far enough along at this point to have been submitted to the Conservation District.
No,
Right.
So-
but you
so
get an
that's
idea what they're
yeah.
on the hook for, looking at that.
Okay.
And it's and not that it will make any difference in the review, but it's our intention that when the plan has been developed and the construction plan is actually under review, to have a discussion with the Washington County Conservation District so that they pay attention to the water flows into the lake. But those regulations are pretty straightforward. So.
Okay. One other thing that I wanted to bring up is we were advised that a hydrogeology study be done of the land over there
I don't know for what purpose.
to study the water sources before anything is done to them.
Given how small this development is, I'm not sure how that would make any difference.
Well, there's a couple of streams that come down, or
Well, there's several. There are like 5 different springs that come down to the
Yes,
lake.
and the bulk of those are on the Peters Township side, and
no, they're on the horse farm.
I went and walked all of them. They all come down the hillside. They're not on the Peters side. I mean, there's surely some on the Peters side, but there are numerous springs on that. So that's what we're concerned about.
What's the name of the study again?
A hydrogeology study?
Hydrogeology.
Yeah.
We'll look into it.
Mark, do you know what that is?
Usually a hydrogeology.
Hydro means water, geo means ground. It's groundwater.
Thanks, I could have figured that out.
Get more of like an
I've used hydrogeological experts. They deal with water below ground, and
Right.
hydrologists are above ground. So to see how the water actually gets into the lake. So that's the difference. Usually the above ground hydrologists, you can see the flow, as Mr. Lewis says. You can probably watch that. It's the underground that we typically, if we were concerned about something happening underground.
Right, which I would think that we are concerned about too. I mean, all of the wells that are over there, they're tied into the aquifers that are over there. And then there are also springs that aren't productive all of the time that feed the lake too.
I guess it's just a matter of what the impact is for what they're going to do. I mean, this seems like it's not an industrial use that they're proposing in there. So I don't know enough, but that's usually if you get a hydrogeologist, that's what they're going to assess.
Okay. So you think we should just wait until you still think we should just wait until we get the engineering?
I think you need to see the engineered drawings so you understand exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
I would have to share that it's surprising to me, everybody's talking about the existing property owners and their wells. I would think this development would bring city water into this whole area.
Oh, the intention is to bring city water the whole way down North Spring Valley Road. The question is whether or not people are going to want to connect to it.
Yeah, it doesn't go the whole way to the extension, though. It stops at the extension intersection, which is kind of a problem for the people who live down to the bottom of the extension.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
My last one this morning. Sorry, you can share it with your friends.
Thank you for your research into
You're
that.
welcome, thank you.
Any other audience comments? All right, seeing none, moving on to new business. Accept the resignation of Ty Kegarise from Peters Township Youth Commission.
I'll make a motion that we accept Ty Kegarisa's resignation from the Youth Commission and thank him for his service.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer. Authorization to contract with Columbia Gas for enhanced road restoration.
So Columbia Gas has done extensive gas line replacements in the McGrand Hills neighborhood. They're now in the process of beginning the permanent road restoration as required by the ordinance. There are portions of the road where, under the ordinance, because the roads are older, what you can do is simply do large patches, and which would leave the road in a condition that quite frankly, I don't think is going to be acceptable in the neighborhood. Mr. Zamitis has worked with Columbia Gas to convince them to actually mill the entire road, which is an additional 1,475 feet, and to do that at a cost to the township of $36,292.50. Mark's of the opinion that this is a fair price, and it's our recommendation that council authorize us to actually execute a contract with Columbia Gas for this enhanced road restoration. One of the things you're going to see is later there's a award of a contract for the parking lot paving. The savings on that, in terms of it being below the budget, pretty much offsets this additional cost here for this.
So moved?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer. Next item, award of contract to Axon Enterprises Incorporated for police officer body cameras under the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program.
So the 2024 budget under the Equitable Sharing Program budget has an annual appropriation of $178,700 for capital equipment. Currently, the township has committed $48,880. This purchase is for a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprises to acquire and service police body cameras. This is the video service that system that we currently use, not only for body cameras but as well as for our in-car cameras. The purchase is being done through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program. Since issuing the docket, we went back to Axon to make sure that their quote makes reference to that fact, and in doing so, they've reduced the price, and there's a copy of this in front of you, for that 63-month contract to $150,879.81. And so the cost in this current year is
30,210?
Yeah, 30,000, yes. Okay, so, and then each subsequent years, it's slightly higher. It's my recommendation that council award a contract to Axon Enterprises for the purchase and serving of the body worn cameras in an amount of $150,879.81.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Ms. Lauer. Award of contract to Mel and Mel Sons, Inc. for resurfacing of municipal parking lot.
So the 2024 budget includes an appropriation of $375,000 for the reconstruction of the parking lots that serve this complex, as well as a portion of Arrowhead Trail. Bids were opened on May 3rd. In your docket is a tabulation of the bids. What you can see is that Mealy & Mealy's base bid of $329,525 is the low bid. This is the contractor that we've awarded the 2024 paving contract to. We've had prior experience with Mealy & Mealy, and they've proven themselves to be a reliable contractor. And so therefore, it's my recommendation that council award a contract to Mealy & Mealy.
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer. Payrolls and bills.
Yeah, I reviewed those prior to this evening's meeting and I'm going to move that they be approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer. Correspondence. Letter from EQT Production Company with reference to a well pad located at 4371 Finleyville, Elrama Road, Finleyville, PA 15332, dated April 18th, 2024.
It's just that there's a well that's going to be
Okay.
drilled at that location. They have a responsibility to notify us of that.
Then also received a letter, Peters Township Council from Jacqueline Rival.
And it's a letter that's in your docket with reference to the garbage contract.
Okay.
I think you should note that if we had not bid that through, once we commit to bid it through SHACOG, we can't then not go along with the bid. Is that
That's correct.
That's what you told me before.
Yes. No, once we
And
make a
you would think
decision.
that if we had all those communities bidding, that we would probably get the best rate
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
And as far as, and then my understanding is that there were some municipalities, and I think Cecil was one of them, that went a different direction. And when I talked to the solicitor out there, they told me that they had to sacrifice a lot of quality for the reduction. And
Yes.
I don't know if that
They're
would
on
be.
SHACOG anyway.
No, but they had Waste Management as their hauler, and they've gone to the
But I know that there was, we didn't want to offset, you can't offset quality, but I do agree that at some point, if it keeps up like this, we have to look at that,
I would agree.
because it is very expensive.
Thank you, Mr. Ricker. Any comments on the minutes? Okay. Hearing none. Moving on to miscellaneous.
Question, since we just went through a situation of paving utility work, what's our status or thought process for Robin Hood coming up from Waterdam?
The gas company, or the water company will repave that curb to curb.
Curb to curb. I'm sure the people that live along there would appreciate it, and all those people that travel it daily.
Yeah, they definitely will, because we just paved that 2 years ago, so we're required to do it.
Yeah, what's going on, well, it was for the last couple of weeks, Mount Blaine.
Water line,
So, but they're going to repave that? 'Cause
Yes.
That was
Yep.
paid last year.
correct. Same
So
thing.
They did pave the little strip, but they're going to repave the whole surface?
Yes, they'll come back and mill and resurface. That area that, they
Yeah.
disturbed for the water
Oh,
line.
good, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Any report from zoning hearing board?
Yes, I wanted to find out whether council wanted to take a position with regard to this. One of the requests for a variance is on this piece of property that sits next to the building. It has Chipotle and Med Express in it. They're requesting two variances. One, they're requesting a variance for the buffer. As you can see in that illustration, they pinched down on the buffer at this location, and what is required is 25 feet, and this takes it down to 8.5 feet. The other variance they're asking for is a variance not to be required to connect on to the neighboring property. As you can see, when MedExpress and Chipotle went in, they stubbed out there to the right to provide a physical location for a connection onto the adjacent property. What they're asking to do is not to have to do that. Instead of making that connection, to simply terminate the parking lot. And given that we just spent 3 years arguing with
Yeah, you don't
St.
wanna do
Clair
that.
Hospital about this, I don't know whether or not we should just simply allow them not to make that connection.
Do we know what that building's going to be?
Right now, they're proposing a restaurant and a fitness studio and possibly one other commercial space. And I believe I want to say they're looking at 11,000 square feet of space total.
And so if the variance was given, then everybody would have to go down Old Oak Road to turn into the building. So if you were coming north on 19, where would you go? You would have to go up to what? Turn around at the McDonald's and come back down?
There's a turn lane there.
Oh,
It's
right,
very
there is.
short.
You're right, yeah, you're right.
It's very short, like 2 cars, but
You're
there's a
right.
turn lane.
You're right, it's so short that I forgot it's there. You're right. You're right.
So
A turn
I guess my
lane?
first question is,
That's not
does the buffer matter?
I would ask the homeowners, there's a house up behind.
Oh,
it, right?
well, I got to say, the homeowner thinks it does matter. The
Yes.
other thing is, when you look at the drawing, the depiction on the drawing is existing wooded area on adjacent property, but when you actually look at it, it's hardly wooded. And so,
Oh, wow.
so these people are going to see that out the side of their
Be careful.
property.
Where's that house access from? Where's the drive? Where do you get to that house?
There's a road that leads up to West McMurray.
Oh,
I can't remember the name of it,
It's
but
not where like,
like across from the nursing home.
yes,
That road.
yeah.
Okay.
it does? I didn't think that it went that far.
You can.
It kind of like goes in like a,
All right, good, sure. All right.
Okay.
I just can't believe they're going to be able to fit that on that land.
We've had.
That is like this.
This is about the
This is a big retaining
I'm not
wall,
going.
right?
Didn't we have somebody come through with
Third or
that
fourth plan.
not too long ago?
We've had about 4 or 5 proposals on this piece of property.
Well, I think just from a public safety standpoint, it's a bad idea not to have 2 ways in.
That's why I was wondering if Mundry should look at that before you.
I mean, particularly, I mean, if someone opens up a business that generates a lot of traffic, that little short turn lane on Oak.
That's not going to
it's not gonna
do
do
it. Plus, there's a
Exactly.
bad curve there.
There is. That entrance to that is really narrow.
Yeah.
So when 2 cars come up, sometimes there's not enough room to even turn down there.
And there'd be a right turn only out of there to come back too? Or could you want them to try to cut left across that?
Yeah, right.
So if you get rid of that,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
that entrance to Chipotle there, plus the variance, I mean, they're probably not going to have enough parking spots there then. And that's why they're doing all
You would
that.
think they'd have sought for the variance
To
for
make a
parking.
smaller footprint, and then they would have enough.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
That's why they're.
The building may be too big.
This is
That's-
for parking, yeah.
That's what's driving the situation, is the building's too
parking,
big.
The building size and the type of uses.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I'm not in favor of not having that other access, and I'm not in favor of giving them any kind of
I agree.
access to that buffer. I mean, if there were a lot of woods there, I wouldn't have so much of a problem.
Well, I would be willing to move on the buffer if they would actually plant the buffer. If they were to plant that whole area with pine trees or whatever.
Permission from that guy.
Well, I'm sure the neighbor probably would give them permission.
Yeah,
But that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is only having one way in and one way
I
out.
agree with you.
I don't see how we move on that.
Well,
Particularly, how could you justify it to, Huntington Bank and St. Clair after all that nonsense if we were to allow this?
Could they connect right out to 19?
no.
And why can't they just connect?
It's a grade difference there.
Oh.
And in order to have that extra parking that they have, they're kind of coming down, they had to basically eliminate that connection.
So is the
So-
consensus to deny the request for
Yeah,
variances?
and if you want to take, if council wants to take an official position with the zoning hearing board, I would suggest that someone make a motion.
I'll make
As-
a motion that we take the position that the zoning hearing board should deny the requested variances.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer.
On a more global issue, reading through disappointingly some of the decisions that they have granted for side yards, I think it's time that we had a sit-down with the zoning hearing board.
That might be a good idea. I can tell you the other one that we need to do is to have a meeting with the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission is very frustrated right now. And the other thing is we need direction from the Planning Commission, or more importantly from council. We want to begin putting an RFP together for the update of the comprehensive plan. And the question that Mark and I are struggling with, is it a complete rewrite of the comprehensive plan, or is it an update of the comprehensive plan? And I don't know where the Planning Commission and Council stands on that, so.
Well, I think it has to be an update.
We need someone to tell us that.
Oh, no.
No, I think there has
If
to be.
you look at the McMurray Town Center, that's not happening with the school not selling. I think it would look significantly different than what's in there now.
And I just think we should all sit down and talk about that so that we can get it clear direction so that we know which way to go.
Well, I'm in favor of both of the concepts of meeting with both those panels.
Okay.
Well, I'm just one person here. Anybody else?
No, I agree with you, Mr. Lewis.
I do too.
I mean, there's a reason we're supposed to redo that every 10 years.
Okay,
I just
thank
can't
you.
believe it's 10 years since we did it the last time.
Okay.
I just want to leave you with one last thing. We have this $650,000 grant from the state of Pennsylvania to do improvements on ball field 2 and relighting ball fields 1 and 2. And in fact, the fields have been relit. The grant process here is, because it's coming through the Office of the Budget and it's a RACB grant, it's different. And you can move ahead with these projects ahead of actually having the agreement in place. And that's in fact what we have done. But now what we're being told is that these relighting these fields were done for a CoStar's contract. And what we're now being told by the Office of the Budget is that if you're to use CoStars, you need to get 3 CoStars quotes, which is an impossibility because Musco Lighting does not have a distributorship. They sell their product themselves. And our sports lighting is all being provided by Musco at this point. So there's a real reason to want to use that. But what we're now being told is, and we're appealing this, is that because of the fact there were not 3 quotes, they may not allow this under the grant, which would be a problem in and of itself, since this is a $400,000 expenditure with half of the reimbursement that come from the state. But we have bid the remainder of this project, and it came in exactly where we thought it would. It came in at $800 and some thousand. The RACB grants have a minimum amount that must be spent of $1 million. And so unless we get them to qualify the lights, the remainder of this project may be in jeopardy, because I don't think the township's in a position to assume the full cost of that project. We're going to try to get an answer on this. We have to award a contract by the second meeting, I think, in June. And so we have an appeal into the state. And we have, since Representative Mihalik was instrumental in getting this money, we've asked her to intercede on our behalf. So hopefully by the next time we meet, we'll have some clear direction as to what's happening here.
So I don't remember ever being told a cost or estimate for turfing Field 1. during this
Well,
process?
so we took prices for like the backstops, the press box, like a new dugouts without the turf, and it was about $750,000. So you figure with the turf, we were talking about this, that we think a good budget number to entirely redo that field, new buildings, new turf, new fencing, backstops, and everything would be $1.1 million.
And how much are they giving us?
He's saying that would be a project beyond.
This is a future project.
This would be a future.
We knew that was going to be too expensive to do with this contract. That $840,000 that Paul references is just Field 2. But that's the whole ball of wax for Field 2.
It has to be cheaper if they're doing turf
Yeah,
and
it has to
everything
be.
for Field 2, and they're doing all these dugouts and everything. It has to be cheaper for them to put the turf in at that same time they're doing all that stuff than doing it again 5 years later.
But we don't have the money. That's the problem.
Do we know what the turf would cost and get rid of the rest of the stuff? Just do the turf for now.
Well, you can't because it's going to affect the elevations of the buildings. You've got to do it all at one time. The elevation of the field changes.
That's what I just said. I don't understand that. I mean,
Well, all we're doing is Field 2 in terms of the infield, the press boxes, the dugouts, right?
You mean Field 1 isn't getting their dugouts or press boxes?
No.
Not under this project. There's not enough money to do it.
They're just getting the
I didn't know
lights
that.
and
The
they're getting
lights.
the lights and
Period.
well, hopefully they're going to get the lights.
Well, the lights are, yeah. Well,
Okay.
Lights are in.
The lights are done and they're paid for.
it
The
was
question is
supposed
whether
to
we
be
get reimbursed.
the press box and the dugouts from the beginning. Those were supposed to be replaced on Field 1 from the very beginning with this, correct?
The project was to be a project that cost $1.3 million, and we were going to look at as much as we could do, which included the infields on Fields 1 and 2, the press boxes on Field 1 and 2, the dugouts on Field 1 and 2. It became obvious to us that that wasn't going to be possible, and that's why there was an alternate in the bid, so that in fact we could do it within the budget, which is $1.3 million.
Well, how much was all that work? Over $1.3 million?
$1.3 million is, well, just shy of $1.3 million, is the lighting, is the infield for Field 2, the dugouts, and the press box for Field 2.
Okay, so whatever happened to talking to the school district to see if they were
Well,
going to,
I have talked to the school district, and what they point out to me, and correctly so, is that they're involved in a series of projects that are putting turf down on fields that we use.
who uses?
The rec department uses, in addition to the high school using.
You mean, they're talking about,
The high school
yeah,
football field as well as
Pleasant Valley.
Pleasant
Pleasant
Valley,
Valley.
but how does the township use those?
the rec department uses those from time to time
For what? I mean,
for
Something that's-
recreational sports.
oh, I get you, okay.
Like the youth soccer uses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And so, their point is, you want us to contribute to that small project you have? Or are you going to contribute to the large project we're doing?
Okay, so then the other thing is I talked to Jason D'Angelo, who is a big contributor to the baseball organization, and they have a benefit every year, a Sally Scramble, and he even talked about giving the proceeds, or to have a discussion with the township and or school district about giving proceeds like this year and going further, further on following years possibly, to go towards that. Could there be a conversation with him to see if there's any fundraising to do just to put towards this project?
And again, it's up to council as to how much money gets spent on this project. If council wanted to go out and bid a project to do Field 1, we can do that. I don't know where that money's coming from, but
Well, how much, I mean, I assume you've got bids on, or quotes on some of this stuff, right? How much is it to turf the field that you're talking about? You're just turfing the infield, right?
We're turfing the infield.
And what's the
with field
cost
two.
just for that?
For field two,
Field one.
field one, well, we didn't even bid turf for field one. Turf for field two, I think it was around 250,000.
It's for this big, the bottom one, right?
No,
No,
field
that's
two is the one on the
small
top.
field.
250, they didn't get a bid for the one.
So it's probably going to be somewhere around 350.
It's going to be
Yeah.
more because the infield's
I think
big.
that's right.
The
yeah.
football fields for $500,000, that's more turf. This is less turf, so I mean, probably around 350 for that field one turf would be an estimate.
So if we're in danger of not getting it for the 800, you have to be over $1 million. Wouldn't it then be throw that in because now you're getting half the money back anyway versus possibly nothing?
Yes, and
Then instead of scrapping it,
yeah,
I
redoing the budget to find that money.
We'll come back to you and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Let's find out what's
If you get it, then I
No, but I
understand.
think-
If you don't get it, then.
The only other thing that we'd have to do, because this is RACP funding, is we'd have to submit a new scope through the Office of the Budget. That's a fairly lengthy process to get the Office of the Budget to meet and make a determination if that project qualifies. It may delay this project if we were to do
I'm not sure I'm
that.
going to agree with you, Cal, because the original scope of the project included both of the fields. You're going to give us a chance. We'll come back to you and
Please
explain
do,
exactly
because-
where we are.
yeah.
Yeah, but I realized I wasn't here for the last month, but I don't know that I realized the limited effort on field one. To me,
I wasn't told that. I never knew anything about it either. So.
the dugouts in the press box for field one are probably the most critical of what,
They're the same they were 30
their area, yeah.
Oh, and so are the ones on field two.
I just-
I mean, both fields need attention.
So on field two, you're doing the turf, the dugouts, and the press box.
Yes. And again,
Wasn't there some discussion about redoing those batting cages up there?
we took a bid, the Baseball Association wanted to look at redoing those batting cages. We have a number, they haven't, I don't think they've indicated yet whether or not.
I think we got $500,000 we're leaving on it.
There's a few individuals.
$250,000 we're leaving on the table.
Who paid for like the renovation of the concession stand
We've been doing that work in-house.
in-house? Are the bathrooms going to get redone?
They have been. If you go in, that concession building
part?
doesn't look anything like it used to. They put a new roof on the picnic pavilion, and then in addition to that, they're going to be putting a new roof on the concession stand as well.
But the
And that's all been being done in-house.
Okay. And so are the bathrooms going to be any more done to that? Like, is there anything else going to be done to them? Because there's never towels, paper towels, and the dryer doesn't work. And there's no soap.
I would be shocked that the dryer doesn't work now.
Okay.
Because
I was there last week and it didn't.
Okay, then I'll have a look at it. Because they did a lot of work inside of those buildings.
All right, so I guess next meeting we can
Next
get an
meeting, we'll give you an
update
update.
on that, please. Thank
Yep.
you for that. Any other items for the good of the order?